Hi, I'm Terence Lightcap, and I'm here today to present to you a movie called The Last Metroid, based on the Metroid video game series. I would choose Scarlett Johansson to play Samus Aran from the Last Metroid movie. I feel that a strong woman actress like Johansson should play the strong woman character like Samus Aran. Johnson has had experience being in science fiction movies such as The Avengers and the other Avengers movies. My top 5 expenditures for this movie would have to be script and rights, producer and director, art department, and location. The creative writing team would have to come up with a new story or a story that revolves around the events at the end of the Metroid the Other M video game. This would take some time to develop a script and cost some money. We would have to get the rights from Nintendo to make the movie and maybe explain to them that this would help bring back old fans and bring in new fans of the game, which would rejuvenate the game franchise. The producer would have to be someone with a lot of experience with producing theatrical films so that the money and time would not be wasted on unnecessary things. So this would cost a large amount of money to get someone like this, but it would be important in the long run because they would keep the budget in check and keep the film on schedule. A director with a lot of experience with directing science fiction, horror, and thriller theatrical films would be needed. They wouldn't waste money on equipment that isn't necessary and would hire people that know what they're doing and a cast of the right actresses and actors for each part in the film. It would cost a lot of money to hire someone like this, but it would be worth it in the long run because they would help make the movie successful, which would help make a lot of revenue for your company. A lot of technology, creatures, and locations in this movie don't exist in the real world, so having an excellent art department would help bring these things alive. This would take a few months for them to make the concept art and try to create these places, tech, and creatures using real-world materials. It would cost some money to get these materials, but having a talented art department would save money because they would make sure what they were working on would be the best and wouldn't be sloppy. Most of the locations for this movie would be shot on green screen to create a CGI location or built by the art department. This is because a lot of the locations would be in spaceships, labs, space stations, or in exotic locations. Most of the money would be spent paying for space in film studios to shoot these scenes. The development phase of the film would take approximately 4 years. The pre-production for the film would take approximately 2 years. The production would take approximately 1 year. The post-production would take approximately 4 years. And the distributing and marketing would take approximately 1 year. My story would be unique because I would shoot in both first person and third person. I would shoot in first person when Samus was wearing her armor battling various enemies. I would shoot in third person when Samus and other characters were conveying with each other. This jumping from first person to third person is one of a kind and has never been seen in film before. This would intrigue many people to go see the film, which would make a lot of money for the company producing it. The actress playing Samus would have to be trained in fighting choreographing, preferably hand-to-hand combat. The actress would also need to be trained to do different stunts that may be required for scenes. The various non-CGI villains and characters that fight would also need to be trained in fighting choreographing and stunts. I would hire Richard Ryan, a fight stunt coordinator, who did the fight scenes for The Dark Knight and Sherlock Holmes. I would ask Steven Spielberg to be the producer for this film. I would choose him to produce this film because he has produced many films, especially in the science fiction genre. He has had a lot of experience in producing films and wouldn't waste money or resources on things that weren't necessary for the film. He also would know who to hire for things for the movie, such as art, sound, lighting, and editing. I would choose Ridley Scott to direct this film because he has directed a few science fiction films. He has directed 3 science fiction horror films from the Alien franchise, such as Alien, Prometheus, and the upcoming film called Alien Covenant. These films are like Metroid because they are set in the future, involving aliens trying to cause harm to the human species. I believe Scott would enjoy directing this film because he seems to like making films in this genre. He also directed the very successful science fiction neo-noir film Blade Runner. With him directing, I believe the Last Metroid film will be just as successful too. The staff that I would require to complete this project are the first assistant director, the second assistant director, the second assistant director, the set production assistants, and the director's assistant. The first assistant would help handle the crew, actor, and actresses and keep the director on task. The second assistant director would be involved with reading over the scripts to know all the scenes, figure out how many extras needed for each scene. They would also assist the first director with whatever they needed. The second assistant director would help the second director with paperwork, typing of reports, and copying, preventing people from walking on the set during filming. The set production assistant would help the first and second assistants with copying, getting coffee, and making telephone calls, leading actors and actresses from set to set, also to makeup and hair and wardrobe. The director's assistant would help the director with a variety of things, such as answering the director's phone, scheduling meetings for the director, communicating between the director and other crew members. And the software that would be used to make this film would be VideoPad, Express Animate, and WavePad. Express Animate would be used to create the graphics and visual effects for the film. The editing would be done in VideoPad, a software that creates professional quality films. All the audio editing would be done on a software called WavePad, which makes professional grade music recording, music editing, voice recording, and sound effects. I would choose the music from the Metroid video game series for the music in the film. Since it worked for the game, it would work for the film as well. For the composer, I would choose the Japanese musician and composer Kai Hirschman to do the music for the film. I would use Hirschman to compose the music because he did the soundtrack for the video game, and I feel someone who is experienced in making the music for the video game should make the music for the film as well. Here are some actual locations for shooting the film The Last Metroid. Big Tree Forest in Queens Island, Australia could be a possible location. Bono National Park in New South Wales, Australia could be another location. Here are some possible sound stages for shooting the film. Ardeleen Studio Soundstage 1 in South Africa and Nobo in California. I would use both traditional and computer-generated art to make the film, just like they did in the Star Wars films. The traditional art of building the sets, making the costumes, allows there to be a sense of realism. Computer-generated art helps the production phase move quicker and lowers the cost of buying art materials.